You know, we've had a winning season 4 out of the last 5 years and had a few division championships, but we haven't taken the next step. This class of free agents gives us an opportunity to do that.
I promise you that I will come in this building every single day and I will give it everything I have.
I think it's an exciting time for our team.
Go guys, here we go, Houston. And coaches, if we see a mistake, we'll stop it and repeat it.
The preseason gets underway in the city by the Bay. California, the stage as the Texans get their preseason schedule started, presented by Mattress Firm, the official mattress retailer of the Houston Texans. We're at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara as the Texans face the San Francisco 49ers. Hello, everybody. I'm John Sadak, filling in for the Olympic broadcaster Kevin Kugler. Joining me, the Houston running back, you know, our old friend Spencer Tillman. And you also know the Houston Texans defense, the NFL's best down the stretch. A 7-2 finish to last year. It led to a third division crown in 5 seasons. To take the next step, you need to solidify the quarterback position, and the Texans believe they have done that.
Yeah, and acquiring Brock Osweiler from the Denver Broncos, they think they've got that franchise quarterback. He's about 6'7". I know they list him at 6'8", but the key is he can see over defenses. That should help him stay healthy, stay vertical, and I believe, partner, that if he does do that over 16, this team can go deep in the playoffs, mainly because he's got a complementary trio that's going to help him out a great deal. Lamar Miller, the Blazer from the Dolphins, who torched him for 175 yards last year, he's in the mix. He's basically a newer, fresher version of Aaron Foster. And then the #1 draft pick out of Notre Dame, Will Fuller. Will has got 4.39 speed. He will take the top off of defenses that will allow DeAndre Hopkins on the backside to get single coverage. And, of course, Braxton Miller, he's the X factor. They'll put him in slot. The 2-time Big Ten player as a quarterback, he can do it all. Put them all together. You've got a playoff team, my friend.
They are here. The traveling Texans are here. We're delighted that you're here. And don't forget about the defense. Drew Doherty downstairs has more when we come back.
This broadcast is brought to you by Reliant. Keeps you powered at home, at work, and on the go. By Mattress Firm, the official mattress retailer of the Houston Texans. By Bud Light, raise one to right now. And by your local Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Xfinity. Welcome on back to Santa Clara. Kick just moments away, but for more on the defense for Houston, let's go downstairs and introduce Drew Doherty.
Hey guys, a lot's expected of linebacker Benardrick McKinney. Last year as a rookie, shuttled in and out of the starting lineup, but once he stuck, he was a breath of fresh air. And the big trick to it, just breathing. That's what Brian Cushing made him do because McKinney was panicking. Keep an eye on him tonight and throughout this season.
Well, thank you, Drew. McKinney, a big part of getting to the quarterback for Bill O'Brien's team. He's gotten to 9-7 his first couple of seasons. Runner-up for NFL Coach of the Year in season #1. Claimed the division and made entry into postseason play in year 2. And partner, the Texans are already off to a rousing start. Shane Leckler called tails. Tails it was, and they have deferred.
They deferred, and then I gotta mention, Drew's got the little kerchief working on the open, man. That's looking sweet. That's setting the tempo early. Texans going to kick off. Let's see if they can define it with some excellent coverage here.
Bruce Ellington, the deep return man for the Niners, zips it out, receives it around his 7. Weaves his way out of the near side of the field, continuing to stretch in a stiff arm as he's helped out of bounds. Andre Howell, the safety, helped him out of play on specials. The starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, Blaine Gabbert. He started the final 8 last year, completed 63% of his passes, threw for over 2,000 yards. Came over in a trade from the Jaguars in 2014. No Colin Kaepernick in this game. A sore shoulder for Kaepernick. He did not throw when these teams had a joint practice 2 days ago either. Incomplete, looking for Carlos Hyde. Let's take a look at starting lineups brought to you by Houston Methodist. On the offensive line, Joe Staley has started every game from 2011 through to today for the 49ers at that left tackle spot. Handoff for Hyde is wrapped up by John Simon, the Jack linebacker. He's the starting running back. Ellington, Patton, and Smith at the receiver position for the Niners, who went 5-11 last year.
Simon doing an excellent job of assignment football in that last play in that jack position, playing with leverage, funneling the runner back inside. Tremendous job in the run stop.
Third down and 9.
Just a four-man rush.
Off target again, looking for the back multiple times on this first possession. Jonathan Joseph closest to Carlos Hyde.
Uncharacteristic for Gabbert to be off like that. You know, one of the things you and I were looking at practice, he has a tremendous arm, big-time arm, but the accuracy in this new constituted offense, Chip Kelly's a little bit different. I just came out in trips formation. It was not anything unusual, no solo formation whatsoever. He's just off the mark twice.
Tyler Irvin, the draft pick out of San Jose State, set to receive from Bradley Pinion. Irvin loses the football as it pops free right around the 35-yard line. It will be Texans ball. An inauspicious start.
Irvin's a draft pick, you know, but I'll tell you what, typically that'll get a rookie an apple and a roadmap. He's got it in his gun sights. He just doesn't seat the ball well. The sun may have been a factor there, but Irvin's got to do a better job of that. That's one of the ways he's going to excel, because that receiving core is especially deep. It's going to be hard to crack that lineup. If you want to make an impression, you've got to be a great return man, and it begins with seeing the football.
So after the 41-yard punt, our first look at some of the new weapons on offense from the 35. They hand it off and they get a first down. Second level surge for Lamar Miller.
Lamar got great yardage up top, and again, the good thing about it, Will Fuller's on the outside, number 15, will come into your camera. Watch him shielding, creating a lane for number 26 to get up in there. Lamar Miller, early signs paying dividends on that acquisition.
14-yard run, number 17, Brock Osweiler, getting the look at QB after he went 5-7, a 5-2 and 7 starts for the Broncos last year. Off the play fake. Osweiler, tuck and run, guided out of bounds after a gain of 3 by Ahmad Brooks.
Actually like the play call, and they're kind of painting the field right now just on the early plays, off tackle, then you come back with play action away. If you have success, you're basically putting stress on the defense, and this is what Osweiler is accustomed to. Remember, the Gary Kubiak offense that he was a part of was more structured, but it featured the play action, a staple for Gary Kubiak's offense, something he's familiar with to settle him in early.
Has a lot of command at that quarterback position. He has 2 plays out of most huddles, and he could check to a third if he wants. On 2nd and 7. Broken up, incomplete, looking for DeAndre Hopkins. Tremaine Brock was there. Tonight's starting lineups brought to you by Houston Methodist as we take a look at the offensive line for the Texans. Chris Clark getting time at tackle. Xavier Su'a-Filo gave stability at guard the final 8 games last year. Tony Bergstrom fills in at center. No Nick Martin today. Miller, Prosch, Strong, Hopkins, and Fedorowicz at backs, receivers, and tight end. For full bios and stats on each Texans player, visit HoustonTexans.com.
Osweiler checking out of a play, trying to get into the best play that he can here. Great job of diagnosing the pressure off the edge.
Osweiler with plenty of time. Incomplete. Looking for Braxton Miller. The crossing route.
The good thing about this route, number 1, Fuller's wide open on the outside. You're not going for the 9 route. He was coming underneath the Braxton Miller, the 2-time Big Ten MVP as a quarterback, finding a way to get open. He runs excellent routes for a quarterback, and he's working on it on that play as well.
Shane Lechler gets it away. Bruce Ellington signals fair catch and brings it in at the 11-yard line. We will step aside. No score early as each team has had a crack offensively. You're watching the Houston Texans Television Network. The scoreboard of this quarter is brought to you by Hyundai. No score as each team has had a touch early here in Santa Clara. Texans defense gets another look at the 49ers after Bill O'Brien saw San Francisco and his counterpart Chip Kelly, a man who called him a kindred spirit from their shared New England days, used the pass game to the running back to very little fruition on the first possession.
I think this series you're going to get a chance for the Texans to defend some pass plays, and they were actually pretty good. They had allowed a league low 5.0 yards per pass attempt last year, and they struggled on play action, and that's something that we talked to Coach O'Brien about yesterday, and that'll be an area to look for. Lane certainly can move out of that pocket even in the solo formation. Look for the Texans to buckle down their play action.
From the 12, Carlos Hyde, giant gash, runs through an arm tackle and invites some heavy contact second level, ripping his way to the 34 as he collided with the hard-hitting Quentin Demps.
Bernardrick McKinney was inside there too in his inside linebacker position. You got to miss it. You can't miss that block and that tackle in open field like that. And McKinney is one of the great improved players in this defensive unit. O'Brien's been bragging about him since OTAs.
After the gain of 22, Gabbert to the air, finds Vance McDonald, who gets wrapped up by Andre Howell.
Howell and McKinney, they're both of them on that particular play, and that's where you're seeing some of the versatility. Not a particularly strong run-stopping opportunity last time, but you can see McKinney dropping back in coverage on that last play. Bernardrick doing an excellent job in coverage.
After the gain of 11 off the play fake, Gabbert falling down, a little bit of a push it seemed, as Quinton Patton got some separation from Quentin Demps and the ball underthrown.
That ball was a back shoulder play, and Demps was bailing out on him, turning his back, but it was an excellent job. Number one, that was Kevin Johnson on the outside, the second-year player, doing a fantastic job of mirroring his guy. He doesn't have to look back when you're on an island out there in man coverage. You can look at him, not worry about peeking back, trying to get a read on the quarterback. That's a lot of water in between where the receiver is and the quarterback on that play. Excellent defense.
That's McDonald in motion. Hyde puts it on the ground, scooped up by the Texans. John Simon streaking, 10-5 end zone. Turn him over and put it in. And the Texans force the takeaway, and they capitalize for 6.
Just against this nice little slanting Wolfhook in there, the big fella. Simon scooping it up. Tremendous job playing with leverage. When you play assignment football, every man reach one in your lane. You play with integrity. When this happens, it's Johnny on the spot. Simon scoops and scores. Tremendous job by this defense that carried this team last year as it went through as many as 4 different quarterbacks en route to a playoff appearance, but an early exit. Simon picking up where the defense left off last year.
Former Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, started half of the games for the defense last season. They plucked him off Baltimore's practice squad a couple of years ago.
Chip's got a new offensive system in, but that ball security, again, we've seen the ball mishandled from scrimmage and on a kick return by the Texans. It's preseason.
Nick Novak for the point after. Now of the permanent extra distance, and he makes good on it. So the defense pounces. John Simon scoops it up, trots it home, and the Texans have a 7-0 advantage. Welcome back out west, 7-0. Texans with the lead. Fumble picked up by John Simon and streaked home for a score. The 4th-year pro out of Ohio State.
Appeared in all 16 games last year, and he did a fantastic job, had career highs in a couple of key statistical categories, but John Simon is a steady player. That 41-yard fumble, scoop, and score is something that doesn't happen very often, but when you play disciplined football, it's about putting yourself in a position to make those kind of plays. We're so used to seeing number 99 do that. John Simon says, hey, look, you're not the only one that can make plays on defense.
Making plays at the kicking game, Nick Novak, who's getting some pressure this year in the preseason. Kami Fairbairn, who we'll see, I'm sure, at some point today out of UCLA. Last year's Lou Groza winner. And one of the differences could be on kickoffs. Who has the stronger leg? This one returnable for Bruce Ellington. And he is thwarted at around the 20-yard line. Tony Washington with the special teams tackle. All throughout tonight's game, we're going to be checking Twitter and Instagram to see what Texans fans are posting. Use the hashtag Texans Game Day, and you could see your tweets and photos on the TV screen later tonight. Make sure you follow the Texans on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat for all the latest news, behind-the-scenes photos, and more. Carlos Hyde, the back, as they go to the air on first down, tipped in the air, incomplete. Looking for Torrey Smith, Jonathan Joseph, who had a career-high 22 passes defense last year, getting some preseason time, disrupts it.
Playing with great closing speed. Jonathan Joseph had a banner year last year. I mean, he's been in the league a long time, but if you were just to look at the tape, he looked like a second, third-year player last year. Career highs in passes defensed. He looked like a spry young rookie player in terms of athleticism.
Gabbard keeps, a little misdirection. Kevin Johnson invites the contact. They get a little more than a yard. Take a look at the defensive starters for the Houston Texans. Christian Covington, Vince Wilfork, Devin Still, Whitney Merciless, Akeem Dent, Bernardrick McKinney, John Simon, who already has the TD, Kareem Jackson, Hal Demps, and the aforementioned Joseph. Under duress, Gabbard forced to run. He does have some athleticism. There's a flag out. Andre Howell was there to corral him.
Gabbard was under pressure. The Texans were bringing as many as 5.
Illegal contact. Defense, number 24. 5-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
That's on Jonathan Joseph.
Well, they caught the wily veteran on that particular play. And again, let's see what he does here. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rushers. That constitutes a blitz. When you go past 4, Gabbard gets up in there. And again, they had good closing speed to the Texans on defense, but on the perimeter, Jonathan Joseph caught with the infraction.
First down and 10. Similar look, but this time in the belly of Carlos Hyde. Rumbles his way to Whitney Merciless. Gets a little more than 2. Second down and about 8.
Seeing a little bit more of the Chip Kelly type college stuff he used to do back at Oregon with trips to one side and have a ride and mesh kind of zone read scheme working as well. And that's really to put pressure on the defense and spread you out in the middle of the field so that you can get a mismatch with a pretty powerful runner like Hyde. He's getting up there in age. This is a payoff year for him.
Blitz comes. Gabbard reads it, but could not find Quentin Patton as Kareem Jackson darted toward the quarterback.
Veteran player out of Alabama, one of the stalwarts. You can see him sneaking a little nasty blitz with the safety covering his responsibility. He got in Gabbard's face really quickly. Kareem Jackson out of Alabama. Been a great asset for this team as a former #1 draft pick.
Drew Doherty will have a chat with him in the second. Third down and 7. Bruce Ellington knocked down just shy of the marker. Kareem Jackson there to stumble the streaking wideout. It seems about a half-yard shy with where the spot lays.
He may have gotten it, but again, it's about assignment football on a trail technique under the shallow crossing route. And he's there, but he may be just a little bit shy. They get the first down. They're going for it on 4th.
Last year, teams were 7 for 12 against the Texans on 4th down. And the inside run for Carlos Hyde bulls his way to the 44. That's good for the first down.
You saw a little bit of pace and tempo working there. Just a little inside zone read. Simon plays with technique, but all you need is about a half a yard to fall forward. Good job of executing their offense.
Sean Drone is entered as the running back. Spins off the first hit, but the second wave there as he gets thumped down by Christian Covington. That'll be a loss of a little more than a yard.
And John Simon anchored that again, turning that play inside, giving Covington an opportunity to close from the backside of that play. Just excellent assignment football between Covington, number 95, and his battery mate on the opposite side, Simon.
Make it 2nd and 13.
Oh, nice move.
The screen game is there for Drone. But again, Texans aplenty. Jonathan Joseph with yet another tackle. This gets to around the 44, gain of about 3, so 3rd down and 10.
Nice open field tackle by Jonathan Joseph there, just wrapping up. Again, nice little release, intentional play to kind of lure that defensive line in, and Jonathan's got to make a play in open field, and he does.
Texans were brilliant on 3rd down last year. But Gabbard can run. Blaine Gabbard galloping right through the second level as he erupts for a first down charge.
We're used to seeing Kaepernick do that, but obviously he's not in the lineup. But Gabbard, he can move a little bit too. Against a 5-man rush, is actually playing 4, one dropping back in green dog coverage. That's merciless on the outside. And, of course, Broderick McKinney in close toe in the trail technique. Can't get him.
13-yard rumble. A screen dropped. Andrew White.
Max Bullock there closing on that particular play almost for a minute there. Thought it was going to be another loose ball, but Bullock doing an excellent job, number 53, of being active and around the ball. You know, so much, John, about success on defense is being active and just remaining engaged from the time the whistle blows until it stops.
The Texans certainly that pay careful attention. On second down, though, wide open, McDonald. He made Demps miss, and he spikes into the end zone. Defender fell down, and a nice move by the 6'4", 267-pound tight end.
43 yards and a 49er touchdown.
Yeah, McDonald did a number on Broderick McKinney. I think 55 was the guy who had responsibility. You can see him coming out. He chucks and just falls down. McDonald, open field now, makes Demps miss with a nice move back inside. That's a mistake by McKinney. Falling down on that play.
A chance to tie it up. Remember the big run by the QB Gabbert that allowed that to happen. Plus hitting his tight end. The point after from Phil Dawson is good. And we have a deadlock at 7. Bill O'Brien will want to talk that one over. Big play for 43. All tied up at 7. 49ers cheerleaders. Reason to celebrate after Vance McDonald, who had 3 touchdown grabs last season, started 11 games for the 5-11 Niners. Found himself 43 yards for a score. Capped off a 12-play, 80-yard drive that consumed a little more than 4 minutes.
Partner, going back to that last play with play action, again, the Texans allowed 9 yards per pass last year, which was like 30th in the league, only ahead of Tennessee and New Orleans. And again, when you see those types of plays, that becomes a point of emphasis. They'll coach it, but you got to stop it from happening in the first place. And it's really just about assignment football and playing technically sound. Broderick McKinney just falling down on that one play.
Part of the learning experience that preseason affords. Bradley Pinion has had some trouble with the ball collapsing off the tee. He holds on this occasion. Tyler Irvin, the deep return man. And from the recesses of his end zone, he takes a bent right knee. We'll step aside. We'll be back with another look for Brock Osweiler and the Texan offense. Deadlocked at 7. 7 all-year score. Weigh in on who will be tonight's rising star using hashtag #TexansGameDay. Stay tuned to the 4th quarter to see how you could win 2 VIP tickets to a Texans home game. Tonight's rising star brought to you by Mattress Firm.
Texans are going to work a reconstituted offense. No Ben Jones or Brandon Brooks. They both left via free agency. So new players up front, trying to get some continuity with this new fangled offense to complement the speed on the outside.
Lamar Miller, flag out.
26, Lamar Miller.
Contacted around the 30. A gain of 5, but we'll see what the call is.
Offside. Defense number 55. 5-yard penalty will replay. First down.
Ahmad Brooks called for the infraction, the 2-time All-Pro.
As far as the Texans are concerned, the attitude that is emerging here, it's still about running the football and establishing that identity. And you can see on the stretch play that was cut short because of the infraction. But Texans want to be a physical team before they exploit all of that speed they acquired in the draft and free agency.
Lamar Miller showing some shake. Taken down by Quentin Dial. 1st and 10 line this quarter, brought to you by Verizon.
Lamar can move in space, but he's also a power back and break through tackles as well. And I think the Texans will do some things with formation in solo or single back that will put him in a great position to run through arm tackles And that's when you get teams on their heels. A closer, tight end formation now with D-Hop on the 30. Texans can run or pass in this scenario. Always looking for those run conflict scenarios where you can run or pass second and short.
Osweiler pressured, sacked. Brought down by Ahmad Brooks.
That's a point of emphasis in an area of his game where he can improve. He tends to hold on to the ball a little bit. You saw that. Part of the reason why he got benched down the road in Denver to an aging Peyton Manning, he struggled in the back half of the season, but for the time that he was in, he showed all the signs that he can be a franchise quarterback. He's got to get off of that read quicker and make a play.
Loss of 7 means 3rd and 9. Texans 39% on 3rd down last year. Pressure shown on the far side. They pick it up. Osweiler steps into the throw, but well short. Caught at the 30 for a gain of 4.
Man, I'm sorry, partner. Even though it was short, the bottom line is he got rid of that ball decisively quick, and that's what you want to do. When you come to the line of scrimmage, this offense is so specific that you're going to get the matchup that you're looking for. Trips formation, man across the board, a blitzer off the edge, so you got to get rid of it quick. He did a great job of diagnosing that. Got rid of the ball, just a little bit too short.
The punt away, Bryce Treggs, rookie out of Cal, lets it plop on down and takes a roll, touched by the Texans. Marketed around the 17-yard line. So Dent with the touch, tied at 7.
Really good freaking season.
Welcome on back. Traveling Texans on display. And defense, a big part of Houston's season a year ago. Tied at 7 in this preseason opener. Bill O'Brien saw his team get off to a 2-5 start, but went 5-2 down the stretch. Led the NFL over the 9-game finish in those 4 highlighted categories, Spencer. A dominant D.
Yeah, sack double clearly there is impressive at 32. Part of the reason why they had that success, that was about the time Romeo Crennel started to move J.J. Watt around.
Thad Lewis getting time at quarterback. Pass complete as Kevin Johnson was there to greet Garrett Selleck.
So to pick up on that theme, you know, what he was doing was moving him from that 3-5 technique, which is traditional for him, and teams had a tough time adjusting to where J.J. Watt was, and he was absolutely a nightmare. So you saw that prolific inflection point in production in the second half.
As dominant a defensive player as the game has today as the ball sails on Selleck. Quentin Demps, strong safety there.
I think another factor is Brian Cushing came on strong too at his inside linebacker spot. After 2 years of dealing with injuries about midway through the year, he really kind of regained the form that maybe not 100% back to what he was, but he was playing downhill with effectiveness.
3rd down. Lewis breaking containment toward the sideline. Let's see where they spot him. It looks to be just around the marker.
Boy, Thad Lewis is a dangerous player, and again, the Texans really played with some integrity, put pressure on him, but speed is more important than size and quickness. When the pocket collapsed, he turned, broke down the defense. Covington's trying to get him, and then on the outside, it's tough, man. 1st down, that's speed. It's tough to defend that.
They have not yet moved the chains. Chain gang not quite in accord with our officiating crew. They now adjust. Pressure shown. Bang with the first 2 hits. Sean Drone drops the shoulder. The Texans finally smother him around the 41-yard line. Andre Howell takes care of him eventually. Another 1st down.
It was Tony Washington, though, had an opportunity to make the tackle. Number 49, again, he goes right through the arms. A nice little in the phone booth kind of move.
Off the play fake, sidestepping pressure. Another would-be tackler, the 3rd man in, can't quite wrap up. Lewis maintains his feet, loses the helmet. The heavy hit delivered by Brian Peters.
Now, if you're Romeo Crennel, you're talking to your defensive unit, you're saying, look, this is a different cat that's in there right now. He is not a stand-in-the-pocket quarterback. He's elusive. So when you come to the point of attack, you've got to break down. You can't come with your ears pinned back, hell-bent for election. You've got to get in a good football position play laterally, put him in front of you, watch his waistline, make a solid football tackle.
2nd down and 8. Mike Davis in at running back. Davis finds a giant dash. Davis to the 2nd level. Helped out of bounds by Corey Moore. A huge 1st down run.
Boy, Andre Howell, disappointing tackle. You can see 29 coming up in the hole. Just takes a poor angle there and just misses. Can't dive and try to make a play on somebody in open field like that. You got to play sound. You got to play with technique, and that's fronting the guy up. This spread formation is putting a hurt on the Texans right now.
To the air, to the end zone, nearly picked off.
Max Bullock did a great job of stepping in front of that ball and deflecting it. Number 53. But they're down here in this position because of poor tackling. The Texans do a decent job of defending against the pass when they get down here, as evidenced by that previous stat we showed a minute ago. Excellent job of keeping teams out of that end zone, but getting there, hemorrhaging yardage.
2nd down to 10. Davis again finds some space, but this time around Max Bullock hits him hard on the hip. Drops him at around the 7, gain of about 6.
Corey Moore's in there on the tackle, but again, they're just weaving through there. And I think formation is really what's helping them. Even when they get down here, look at the splits of the 49ers. It's not wide, but look at the left tackle. Look at the gap between him and then the guard. It's such a significant split.
3rd and 4 to the right side. Hit as he throws. Off target. Intended for DeAndrew White. They've been in the backfield. It's a matter of popping Thad Lewis.
Yeah, Brandon Dunn was the guy that popped him that time. And again, he's in that mix of those defenders up front that have a chance to fill the void. J.J. Watt's out, of course. Those guys have a chance to get in there and make a name for themselves, along with Devin Still and company. Trying to nail down a spot on this roster.
Phil Dawson from 25. The 2012 Pro Bowler drills it. Missed tackle is part of the story.
Wow.
So the Niners take the lead. What's the message in those defensive huddles?
Well, first of all, you got to tackle in open space. Remember, they used a little bit of pace and tempo. Chip Kelly and his offense, that's what he's known for. Although in his last stop, he was not that prolific kind of gadget guy that everyone thought that offense that he brought from Oregon years ago would work in this league. And he's been more of a conventional guy. In fact, he's been in the lower quintile of the teams that did gadget plays. But that was just spread you out, run through you by alignment, and the Texans just didn't tackle well. And the disappointing thing, it was whether it was Andre Howell or Covington on the front, it was the back end, McKinney and others missing tackles in open field. That's not Texan football there.
A little gassed on the sidelines.
Well, and it's not going to get any easier, because one trait about Chip Kelly's offenses is once they sense you're tired, that's when the pace and tempo kicks in. They're going to take it to another level.
It's not Texas hot, but it's on the warmer side. The ball booted to the retreating Irvin. This time, he'll take it out. Tyler Irvin, who can make a lot of things happen in space, sees it collapse relatively quickly around the 20. A limited number of single-game suites are available for big games, including the season kickoff against the Bears, Sunday Night Football versus the Colts, and the Bengals on Christmas Eve. Enjoy the game with a dedicated suite attendant, multiple TVs to catch all the NFL action, and first-class food offerings. Call 832-667-2160 or visit HoustonTexans.com/suites today for more information.
$12 men on the field. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
So the laundry littered on the Niners. Gives a free 5 to Brock Osweiler and company.
Brock identifying the Mike backer, getting everybody their responsibilities. Texans call 2 plays, give him 1 option.
Looking left side, the spun around. C.J. Fedorowicz takes 2 Niners to help him out of bounds. Popped it around the 39. 40 is the number of catches the coaches have said they'd like to see Fedorowicz get this year.
Good to see Fedorowicz actually make that catch and seat it. It was not placed in front of him. Did a great job of turning around and adjusting to that, showing some athleticism. We know he can block extremely well. He's a muscled-up guy and maybe doesn't have the most fluid moves, but he was able to get his body twisted around and change and make a great grab on that play.
Gain of 12. The spot at the 37. Lamar Miller. The hole swallowed up quickly. Ray Armstrong, 4th-year pro out of Miami.
Yeah, I bet Lamar wish he had that one back. Again, it was kind of a semi-stretch play, and if he would have been a little bit more patient, I'm going old school on you now, partner, but one of the greatest backs I saw run that particular play was Edgerrin James. He had a philosophy called slow to, fast through. When you're stretching, that defensive end starts to widen. You push it as far as you can, and then at the last moment, you get off the hip of your end blocker. I think he was a little bit anxious that time and didn't let that play develop. Here comes a little cat blitz off the edge.
Delayed handoff. They seem to recognize, and Miller chipped off the first hit. He has a first down run to midfield. They'll move the chains for the Texans. The versatility of the offense will be so much fun to watch as it evolves this season.
Yeah, and again, if you can establish the run game, guys start to respond. And they typically will bring an extra defender in the box, and that means you've got single coverage. And if you've got Fuller in the game, DeAndre Hopkins complimenting him, and maybe even Braxton Miller in the slot, you got a chance to make big plays.
Weapons galore for the offense, which is on the drive. We are through 1 quarter. It's 10-7 49ers. The Texans Television Network will continue from Levi Stadium in Santa Clara right after these messages.
Of this broadcast is brought to you by Houston Community College. We are Houston's community college. By First Community Credit Union, the official credit union of the Houston Texans and home of Brian Cushing. And by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram.
Welcome on back. A penalty on the Texans just as we return. Movement on Kendall Lamb.
You must be living right, partner. That was a nice save there.
Ask and ye shall. Tyler Urban at running back here. Urban tries to win back some that's lost. He gets a little more than a yard. Ray Armstrong undercuts him. Our game stats brought to you by Reliant. First quarter, total yardage, dramatically owned by the Niners. Rushing yards and time of possession.
Texans going 4 wide receivers now, 1 back.
Jalen Strong, who's come back noticeably lighter and better shape. Antoine Bethea with the tackle, but they expect a lot out of Strong. And perhaps the deepest receiving core the franchise has ever enjoyed.
Absolutely, and I think that competition context has helped him. Noted he had the difficult off-season, off-field issue that he took responsibility for and has kind of changed things around, and no one's responded in a more positive way than he has since OTAs.
3rd down and 7. Pressure on the near side. Osweiler finds his target, but not the first. Brought in by Will Fuller. Tremaine Brock was there. It's a good sign, though, for Fuller with a very tight window to secure the ball firmly.
Yeah, and a good job by a big-arm quarterback. And Brock, who you're going to expect to stand in there and make that play. The 49ers gave them a kind of a sugar look, a kind of a faux blitz look, and they ended up bringing 5 rushers on that play, so it was technically a blitz. But Brock stood in the pocket and delivered a strike, and even though it was for minimal yardage, I like that the ball came out quicker.
4th down and 3. Getting the ball out fast, part of the mantra for all the quarterbacks in camp this year.
Left tackle's going to have pressure on him in open field.
Osweiler loads up, the ball knocked down. Looking for Braxton Miller. Chris Davis The man of the famous Iron Bowl return there to knock it free.
Miller had excellent coverage on him, but again, the converted quarterback working from the inside on the outcut will learn to come back to that ball when he feels tight coverage on him in that particular play. He's got to do a better job of understanding where he is as Chris Davis was in his hip pocket. He's got to come back to that ball. And he's got enough athleticism once he get it in his hands to make something happen. So he's capable of doing it, that's for sure.
Turnover on downs, and we have a timeout of the field. Osweiler and company showing the aggression. Came up just short. It's only a field goal game out here in San Francisco. The scoreboard of this quarter is brought to you by HEB. 10-7, Texans trail. First and 10, 49ers off a play fake. A pass incomplete. Looking for the tight end, Blake Bell. Corey Moore, the safety, was there.
Bad released a bullet on that one, and Moore was excellent coverage on that play. Ball just beyond his reach. Texans with just four-man rush between Bullet. Moore just does a nice job of bracketing that.
Second and 10. Go back to Bell. Getting down low, Kevin Johnson. Outsized a little bit, slowed him.
Jerome Simpson was in on that play, and that was a really well-designed play. It was amounted to a pick play is what it was. And if you look at it, number 14, Jerome Simpson just basically created that opening. That was a well-designed play by Chip Kelly.
3rd and 5. Going back to the same side of the field. Sean Drone, the running back.
That's one of the strong suits of Kevin Johnson. He does, even though he's a little bit slight of weight, he does hit well, and paid for this offseason with a couple of surgeries, but nobody's ever going to accuse him of not wanting to come up and force the run. He's tremendous at it, but you don't want him having to do it as much. Max Bullock, obviously physical enough, delivering the blow on that play as well.
Plenty of time in the pocket. Well, it might have been nicked. Intended for DeAndre Campbell. What are you seeing in the Texans' pressure as they're matching up here?
Well, they're not really bringing a lot of pressure, and that's probably the fact. And you see it right here is technically a four-man rush because they're dropping back in coverage. Washington, number 49, came back out of that with the edge rusher, so that met your number down to 4 as opposed to 5, which would constitute a blitz.
Davis trying to reverse field. Corey Moore, strong lateral quickness, kept up with him.
Yeah, Romeo Crennel, the defensive coordinator for the Texans, keeping things pretty vanilla, not showing very much pressure looks at all, and you can't blame him for doing that.
Texans do have some questions up front. As our 1st and 10 line this quarter is brought to you by Mattress Firm. No Jared Crick, of course no J.J. Watt of the preseason. Lewis on the crossing look to DeAndre White. He has a first down. Charles James helping him out of play. Gets to the 33, gain of 11.
Well, James was a little bit looser in his coverage, and you would like to think, you're playing man-to-man responsibility. The proximity to your defender's got to be a little bit more true. James needs to be a little bit more aggressive on that play.
Shotgun trips look. Spin in space, and a pair of Texans denied. Max Bullock has been all over the field.
Davis did a nice job of spinning out of that play, and Bullock has overruns it. Watch him come upfield. He needs to put his head on the outside, which he did, but the spin move denied him the opportunity to make a solid play. Davis with an excellent spin move.
Second down and 4. Juan Harris runs right through an arm tackle, and he has a first down. That was Max Bullock.
And that's the reoccurring theme. You say, what are we seeing on the defense? Missed tackles. On this current drive and on the previous scoring drive, the Texans missing a lot of sure tackles in tight boxes and in open field.
Spun around Bell. Immediately contacted by Curtis Drummond.
Curtis Drummond with the sure tackle there. That's an excellent job by Curtis Drummond closing. Just a form tackle.
And so much of what Chip Kelly likes to do, predicated upon tempo, trying to create some space. How much then do you read from the Texans defense going against a look that's relatively unique? And the Texans are game planning some, but it's more about reading what you have. Inside run.
Well, partner, to answer your question, we'll let that play breathe there for a minute, but they really haven't gone pace and tempo, but except the second and maybe the first two plays of the third drive. They're walking down the football field now. They're pacing it right now just a tad, but they've not really opened the coffer with respect to pace and tempo scheme. They've been playing leverage.
And that's a pinball. DeJuan Harris, the former Packer, former Jaguar, all the way down to the 2-yard line.
And that was Curtis Drummond, who had a sure tackle earlier. And again, players diving more. Finally does bring him down, but again, not after another phone booth miss by the Texans. It's really those little counters and misdirection plays that are doing.
10-yard spurt. This one rather well read as white jerseys immediately smother. Texans say ball loose, and they have it. They turn over the 49ers right on the doorstep.
Curtis Drummond was the guy that scooped it up, and again, it was a scrum down there. It was hard to see it. Kind of a mixed bag on that. You're great to get the ball back, but you have to examine why you're down there.
So Houston forces another turnover. Texans already have a scoop and score in the game. Now they have a possession as they deny the 49ers. Curtis Drummond, the fumble recovery, so the Texans have the ball down 10-7. New quarterback into the fray in Tom Savage, and for more on the QB, let's check in with Drew Doherty downstairs.
Yeah, he's gunning for the backup spot behind Brock Osweiler, and if you think about it, he is the most tenured Texan in this offense under Bill O'Brien. Came to the Texans in 2014 in O'Brien's first year, and oh, by the way, he and his wife expecting a baby girl pretty soon.
Nice. Well, he spent entire 2015 season on IR, but there's no question about it. When this guy came out of high school, he was highly touted as a college player at Pittsburgh, had a tremendous freshman year, and at Arizona and Rutgers, he went to 3 different universities before he settled in and eventually became a pro. And was patient.
Shades of what they've seen at the other end. Kenny Hilliard bouncing off some initial contact as he gets some time at that running back spot. Tom Savage said that he would use the time away from the field as a learning opportunity. And he watched as 4 different men quarterback the team. He's a good teammate. He knows what Brock Osweiler represents, but he's also said, you can draft 12 quarterbacks. I'm going to be ready to go to do my job.
And it takes a special quarterback to have that kind of attitude. You know, a lot of times we saw it firsthand here in Houston last year. Just because you happen to be an understudy to a great quarterback, it doesn't necessarily mean you transfer all those skill sets and those attributes that made that quarterback great. You know, Ryan Mallett was a very talented guy. We know that. Just because he's 4 years there with Tom Brady doesn't necessarily mean he becomes a great quarterback. The same thing with Osweiler. He was behind one of the greatest in Peyton Manning. But I think this kid, Savage, he can be that guy who can learn. Spending, again, the entire 2015 year on the IR, but some of those guys can learn while they're in those situations.
Hilliard got a yard. DeForest Buckner with the tackle, so let's see what Savage can read here on 3rd down and 1. It's less than a yard. They only need about the length of a football.
And when Savage did have some work in his rookie year, he finished 10 of 19 for 127 yards in the limited play that he had, but he can be productive.
He's also 6'4", 230. They hand it off, and the push on the right side is there. They've got the first down to the 25. So Kenny Hilliard, who was pretty physical when he spent last year on the practice squad, they say that he has a little more reliance on angle, showing some shake in space. But there, just push.
Yeah, along with his other battery mate, Alfred Blue, both LSU Tigers, and they were part of a backfield that had plenty little used backs, but all of them were capable of controlling the game if you got an early lead.
Off the play fake, a one-on-one, go up and get it. Jalen Strong brings it home over top of the 6'2" Dante Johnson.
Talk about patience and poise in the pocket under duress. Savage did an excellent job here. Off coverage on the outside. Strong settling down, squats, turns and plucks that ball out of the air with those strong arms and that newly constituted body of his. He's dropped a great deal of weight to slim down but maintain that strength in the process.
Gain of 13 to the 38. Hilliard zipping it left side. Undercut, but the forward progress to the about a 5-yard gain to the 43. Eli Harold was there.
You know, John, when I look at Hilliard, there's an old saying that the greatest ability is dependability. When you're trying to, and again, the Texans are down now on the scoreboard, when I look at him, I'm projecting as the type of guy that can salt games away for you. Like Alfred Blue, he can be a great short yardage guy, red zone guy. I mean, he's a 4-down back. I think he's just that type of guy that can control the game for you. He's just so deep at that position, you wonder how this is going to shake out.
Hilliard right up the gut. Just to around the 47, gain of about 4. They'll be short, but not by much. Garrison Smith, part of the pile that pushed him just shy. The Texans again, second time on this drive that started with a fumble recovery. It's 3rd and short, and the fullback Jay Prosch is in there.
A soft spot on the left side of that line, but there you go.
Hilliard stumbled in the backfield, and he'll lose a little more than a yard.
He got in the great play. You know, it was a good call by Savage, getting them in the right play. They just got pressure and penetration on that left side. You can see the Texans did a fine job of getting in position, but it was Greg Mance that got pushed back off the ball there. Mance just lost his feet, and just penetration will crush a play as it did on that particular case.
No Nick Martin today, who the Texans are very high on. The rookie center, 2nd-round pick out of Notre Dame, did not travel. Shane Leckler booting it to Bryce Treggs. Treggs lets it plop down inside of the 5 and bounds into the end zone. So we will step aside. Texans denied on the 3rd and short, down just 3 out west. 10-7, the Texans trail, late stage, 2nd quarter here at Santa Clara. Quarterbacks huddling up as we invite you to weigh in on who will be tonight's rising star using hashtag Texans Game Day. Stay tuned to the 4th quarter to see how you can win 2 VIP tickets to a Texans home game.
Kind of nice to see some of those young receivers step up.
A hidden space made there on the Niners receiver Jerome Simpson. Curtis Drummond on the spot.
Now the 49ers trying to go pace and tempo here. Trying to get lined up. Let's see if the Texans can respond and get lined up. James looking for his alignment over the slot. Finds him finally.
Cut it back. Going against the grain. These cutback runs inside and out have meant trouble today. Mike Davis showing elusiveness.
And it was Curtis Drummond again missing an open field on that one. You know, you get a scoop and a fumble recovery, you come back, you got to make that play. It's all about playing with leverage. When you come upfield against a shifty runner like that, Mike Davis will put you in a box. You've got to put your head on the outside and stay true to it. He beats you inside, that's fine. You've got help coming. Drummond's got to do a better job of putting his hat on the outside and playing with leverage, particularly against a shifty running back like Davis.
After the 17-yard run, 2-minute warning has hit. 10-7, Texans trail. Stay tuned for the halftime show, brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Play the Houston Texans scratch-off today for a chance to win big. Drew Doherty sat down with some Texans players to talk about the importance of training camp. And DP Sidhu goes one-on-one with strength and conditioning coach Craig Fitzgerald. It's coming your way in the halftime show, brought to you by the Texas Lottery. 2 minutes to go in the second, partner. 10-7, Bill O'Brien's team trailing as the Texan defense is out there facing a 49er squad that saw Brock Osweiler and company get one score thanks to the defense, not from the first unit up.
So far, it's been a pretty mixed bag, with John Simon providing the one singular highlight with the scoop and score, but a lot of missed tackles to offset that, and Texans really got to do some soul searching, particularly as we near the break, find a way to get some stick 'em on their hands, although they're illegal. That's illegal these days, I guess.
Can make the hardest thing seem so simple. Drummond cheats up. And he comes. Lewis launching. Too long. Intended for Jerome Simpson. Terrence Mitchell was there.
Texans bringing a little pressure look on that play, and a lot of water to cover, but more if you're sitting back in that center field position at safety. Don't really have much help over there. That puts a lot of stress on a single safety look when you've got man across the board. That single safety's got to cover half-field responsibility. Now Drummond's dropping back in the deep third.
And it's Davis. Shook off the first look from Corey Moore, and the second wave from Charles James. No gain.
And boy, did he ever shake off Moore on that one. That little stiff arm. That looked reminiscent of old Walter Payton days. Davis does a nice job of getting lateral, bouncing back out, and look at that left arm. Just pulls him down to the ground. If I'm Moore, I take that personally, and I'm coming back with a vengeance. That's a good piece of football running there.
Third down and a short 10. Far side pressure. Lewis backside, knocked down, and the Texans get the sack. Eric Lee rips on through.
That's just an effort sack there, John. Eric Lee did a fine job of just bull rushing and coming with pressure. Hell-bent for election up at the top. You got a little nasty look in there. You got blitzers coming and twisting. Antonio Allen making for trouble up front. They couldn't sort it out to the 49ers, and Lee cut through for a nice play.
We get a called timeout as the former Bull from South Florida drops him for a loss of 6. He was a D-end in college and had 5 sacks. He gets one in this preseason NFL game. 10-7, the Texans trail. Brock Osweiler, helmet still on. A 4-for-7 day. 27 yards. No touchdowns. What was your field, partner?
With the exception of the one time he held the ball a little bit longer, I thought he diagnosed plays and got them in the correct play. They probably had some issues up front that prevented those plays from being a little bit more successful than they were. But I thought he did a solid job of diagnosing the fronts. We talked to him, you and I did just yesterday, about some looks the 49ers were giving them. We call them Navajo or reduction looks, where they're not typical balance looks. You can take advantage of them, but they stem to them or move to them late. So you got to be careful about defining what your play is too soon. But he showed tremendous patience and got in the correct play. So that's what you're looking for. Success in this league is as much about mitigating risk as it is anything. Get your team in the right play and have a chance to compete.
Certainly exudes leadership. A near block there on specials for John Simon. Will Fuller getting a chance to return, tries to do so on a bound and gets blown up. Hefty contact. Dante Johnson there on the spot.
I'll tell you, hit him like he stole something, didn't he? Dante was there, but Fuller hung in there, secured that ball, and as opposed to letting it go closer to the end zone, that coverage unit of the 49ers were there, could have put the Texans in a deeper hole if he didn't feel that ball. So give Fuller, the first-round draft pick out of Notre Dame, the speedster, some courage on that play. A lot of time guys who have tremendous athleticism don't have the courage to match it. Fuller showed you he's got it.
And Bill O'Brien told us he's stronger than you would think. After the 50-yard punt, Jonathan Grimes is entered at running back. Tom Savage, as the ball squirts forward, incomplete. Heavy pressure.
And Tom probably held on that ball a little bit longer, but what you did see in that play was a strength not to be pulled down. And so Savage, he's looking, trying to diagnose. You've got pressure off the outside, and that probably collapsing pocket made it difficult for him. Jeff Adams took that pressure on the right side, made it difficult. That defender's playing in the quarterback's lap. That's not a good place to be.
On 2nd and 10. 4 come. Savage steps up. Looks one-on-one. Not there for Jalen Strong. Dante Johnson, who had the heavy contact on specials, was underneath.
Yeah, pressure again by Adams on the left side, and Savage does a nice job of stepping up. Strong gets behind him. Put himself in a good football position to make a play, and we've seen him do that before, particularly against the Indianapolis Colts, where he scored 3 touchdowns. All 3 of them came against the Colts last year. Got a very strong physical presence when he's one-on-one.
Braxton Miller and Will Fuller are on the bottom right.
Savage identifying the threat, and that blitz is coming right off the edge because there's no single safety behind him.
Up the middle, and he's down. Nick Bellore. More of a special teamer up the years. He goes right up the heart of the line.
Yeah, it was right up the middle. And again, the 49ers had some advantages because they had edge rushers coming as well. And then off the side, Nick Bellore does a fine job of just taking advantage of the Texans' inability to sort out the pressure. And that's some of those Navajo looks that we were talking about early. Those alignments are very confusing.
49ers call timeout.
You know, John, those looks really break down the philosophy that you have for blocking plays. Everything is predicated on the number system typically. And when they figure that out through reductions or moving players over the center, they can really compromise your system, your blocking scheme.
Bryce Treggs lets it drop, takes a Texans roll. Oh, that's well received. All the way to about the 20.
That's the reason why it's so important to field the ball. And we saw in the previous possession, the Texans' Will Fuller did an excellent job of fielding that ball to prevent plays like that from happening.
We asked our fans to send us their home tailgating photos to hashtag Texans Game Day. We've already received these ones so far. Mr. and Mrs.
Hey now.
Loving the Texans. Loving as husband and wife.
There you
Little
go.
kids. Got the gear on. You can show off your Houston Texan pride for a chance to appear on the broadcast. Keep sending your fan photos to hashtag Texans Game Day. I love the little guys.
Timeout was on San Francisco.
Beautiful daughter.
Each team has 2 timeouts
She's
remaining.
as cute as she can be.
Get the red hair flowing.
Yeah.
After a 75-yard punt. A dump to Davis in space. Ran through Antonio Allen's arm. That's good for a first down.
Yeah, you know, Antonio Allen and anybody that's behind this 4-man rush on that last play, Romeo Crennel is not putting pressure. He's just 4-man rush. You're going to be in man coverage most of the time. You just cannot allow yourself to be in a trail technique that far from the receiver. Just 4-man.
Found a soft spot. A leaping grab for Jerome Simpson.
Yep, that's pitch and catch, and they're going to go pace and tempo to see if the Texans respond. And again, the Texans are playing zone.
30-second timeout.
Call timeout first. 21 seconds. A field goal game as it stands. Chip Kelly in year 1 with the 49ers. In year 1 with the Eagles. Won 10 games. The NFC East. Lost to the Saints in the wild card playoff round.
He's +7 overall in his stint here as a professional coach, and that's pretty good because, you know, a lot of college guys, if it's Steve Spurrier or Nick Saban, don't fare well as professional coaches, but he's done a fine job so far. A lot of acrimony there in Philadelphia, but nobody can suggests he's not a winner.
Andrew White. Clutched out of bounds by Charles James.
They do some questionable personnel moves while he was at Philadelphia, but no one can question, once they get in this pace and tempo mode, spreading people out effectively puts so much pressure on teams that aren't acclimated to the pace and tempo.
After the gain of 13, just 14 seconds left in this first half. And that is a catch.
Terrence Mitchell defending the cornerback, trying to come up. It was pretty decent coverage, but the protection allows Lewis to stand in that pocket and deliver a strike on the outside. That's a nice pitch and catch.
That'll move the chains. Ball at the 32. Pressure comes. Lewis sails it out of bounds. Lots of white jerseys in the backfield. Duke Thomas part of the party.
They tried to get a little tandem work there with the tight end and a slot receiver, which is kind of a nasty look if you're trying to defend it with defensive backs, because that tight end is much bigger, and if you get a nice rub, there's no way you can ask a smaller defender to defend a tight end typically. These tries, if they miss now, if the new rules change.
Bill Dawson from 50 yards in first with 2 timeouts. Bill O'Brien says let's
Houston, team second.
ice the kicker, who's gone from as long as 56 in regular season play. The 2016 Houston Texans running of the Bulls 5K run presented by AGB is Sunday, October 9th at NRG Park. The fun run will finish on the floor of NRG Stadium as fans run through the Texans Bull Tunnel just like your favorite players do on game day. Be sure to secure your spot today. This event will sell out. Visit HoustonTexans.com to register now.
I'd put a guy about at the 20 or 15-yard line if I were the Texans.
Give him a chance.
Absolutely. You never know. You get a hand on it, block it. There you go. See, that can happen. If that ball comes up short, he made it.
Phil Dawson with 1 second on the clock from 50. And the deficit 13-7.
Texans, I thought, almost got a hand on that ball, but he got his foot in that pretty good. And Wendell Williams, who's got great speed, doing a nice job getting skinny on the edge to get a hand in there. But, you know, with the new rule changes, when you got guys attempting these 50-plus yard field goal attempts, if you can get a hand on it and it comes up short, that's returnable. Those missed tries can be returned, and, you know, it's just being aware of what the context is, and the Texans do a great job. Bill O'Brien is aware of the context of the game, situational, one of the best in the business at that. Just kind of like to see the guy's head is in the game, just to kind of move players based on the context of the game.
And remember, this first half will be put into some context by Drew Doherty. We'll have your halftime program, also a chat with Bill O'Brien once this stanza concludes. 1 final second remaining. It took only 32 seconds for the 49ers to traverse 48 yards, 6 plays, and get that 50-yard field goal. Put it on the ground. Bobbled and streaked back. Not a whole lot there. Josh Lentz could not create the space. So halftime hits in Santa Clara at a 13-7 margin. Brock Osweiler and the Texans got the scoop and score. And we have Bill O'Brien, the head coach, downstairs with our own Drew Doherty. His halftime interview driven by BMW.
All right, what were your first impressions of Brock Osweiler today?
Oh, you know, look, it's a first preseason game. You know, we're playing it pretty close to the vest here. I think the guys are competing. We got a long way to go. Created a couple turnovers on defense, which was good, but we got to make a lot of improvement here in the second half.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Thank you, Drew. And that is the end of the first half. Your score, a 13-7 advantage for the San Francisco 49ers. Drew Doherty will have the Texas Lottery halftime show when we come back right after these messages.
A portion of this broadcast is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Play the Houston Texans scratch-off today for a chance to win big. And by Whataburger, proud to serve it hot and fresh 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Houston Texans football, presented by Mattress Firm, the official mattress retailer of the Houston Texans. A 13-7 margin as we are getting set for the start of the second. John Sadak alongside the former Houston running back and Spencer Tillman. Drew Doherty downstairs. Spencer, what'd you see in the first?
Well, defensively, the difficult truth is the Texans didn't tackle very well. Benardrick McKinney, the guy who made probably the greatest stride since OTAs and was talked about for the coach's part as one of those players to look out for, didn't play particularly well. But for John Simon's scoop and score, not much to really speak in terms of accolades for the defense. And against on the offensive side of the ball, well, I think not enough plays to see from our big quarterback, but he made some quality decisions, and hopefully he'll continue to do that next week, and we'll be able to have probably a larger sample to judge from.
And Brock Osweiler, his first splash in a Texans uni, and here are the high moments for Brock Osweiler. It was 4 of 7 passing, but you saw more in terms of the decision-making at the line of scrimmage.
Absolutely. John, what a quarterback is doing, particularly in preseason, is 3 things. He's trying to discern threat, call plays to give him the best chance to succeed against those threats, and then execute the play. And I think he did that. There may have been breakdowns in that new constituted offensive line that he's having to work behind, or maybe some bad route decision-making, things of that nature. But as far as getting them in the correct place, I thought he did an excellent job of that. You just didn't have some of the explosive plays that you wanted to have when you collected all of this speed in the offseason via free agency and, of course, via the draft.
And the more reps that he and those new weapons get, the more success that can be had. The Texans won the opening toss and deferred, so they have the ball to begin the second, and they'll take a touchback. Tyler Urban. Our game stats brought to you by Reliant. Here's a look at the numbers. Decidedly skewed towards San Francisco right at the outset of the game, and that created a wide margin that was maintained.
Well, I think, though, the encouraging thing, though, is with turnovers playing a major factor for why the Texans are even on the scoreboard right now, the play can turn and the game can turn quickly on similar plays like that. This defense carried it last year. They showed some of that aptitude early on, and the offense now for the first time has the capability of helping that defense score as well.
Tyler Urban at running back. Savage hooks up with Braxton Miller. Contact as soon as he made the grab for Marcus Cromartie.
And that was a big-time throw. Cromartie hit with great coverage, but you had a Twins look wide. And again, Savage showing he's got a big arm to make that throw. That's an NFL caliber throw on the little out cut. And Braxton did a great job of turning around and grabbing it. But I think the ball can come out a little bit quicker and put that ball in his hands so that he can show you some of that magic that makes him a special player.
And Tom Savage talked about that in camp, but getting the ball out faster, one of the central tenets of his development leading up to this season. Zipped to around the 28, gain of a couple for Urban, contained by Nick Ballore.
Yeah, Urban's the little change up here again. You know, you've got the 2 big backs. We saw, of course, Hilliard earlier, and then this is the change up. You've got a back that's kind of a pocket guy, but he's a little bit stronger. You and I talked about this yesterday. A little bit stronger than people think he is. He can't run through tackles, but in order to do that, you've got to effectively have the passing game complementing it and catch teams on their heels. With a nice wide split like this is an excellent opportunity, although it's a passing scenario.
And Jonathan Grimes is in, who's a very strong pass-catching running back. He leaks out. Savage under duress, tries to dump as he gets knocked down. Tank Carradine in the backfield.
No Not much of an option. He had Wendell Williams to that left side. And again, I wonder what was going through his mind as Savage turned and looked at the single side of the field. You've got one receiver. You've got an edge rusher coming off the side. It's just a 4-man rush, but he comes off Grimes so quick. Grimes had a free release, and what they call a green dog. In other words, if his linebacker doesn't come, he's free to get into the route and become an option for Savage, and Savage just didn't see him.
And the Texans see the punt unit. Shane Leckler out. Great hang time. Bryce Treggs from his 25.
That's how you stop.
Immediately there. Jonathan Grimes, the running back, getting it done on special teams. So the hang time gave him a window. He makes the immediate tackle, a 13-7 difference. Third quarter, and the scoreboard in this quarter brought to you by your Houston area Mazda dealers. Bill O'Brien breaking down the numbers, a 13-7 difference after a 48-yard punt and some solid coverage from the Texans. The 49ers have Thad Lewis along with DeJuan Harris in the backfield. And their own 24. Lewis looking long. Finds the separation between Antonio Allen and Drez Anderson, the son of Willie Flipper Anderson, who set the NFL record for receiving yards in a game.
Texans again playing it close to the vest with just a four-man rush there. Anderson does a great job of working the sideline, getting his feet down, and completing that pass. Antonio Allen defending on that one.
And they call incomplete. Hand off to DeJuan Harris. Inside run. Tony Washington.
Yeah. Tony did a great job on his assignment there. And again, back to the earlier theme in the first half. It's
Illegal
about
motion.
playing your technique.
Offense number 13.
They call it fits, like a glove. Every player defensively is responsible for an area. And if you don't compromise that, most plays are going to work out in your favor.
So a shift penalty moves it back to the 19. The first down marker remains at the 34-yard line. First and 10 line this quarter brought to you by Royal Purple. Harris. Clutch from behind. Knocked down at around the 20.
Harris is so shifty, man. DeJuan Harris, all of these backs cut out of that elk. If you remember when Chip Kelly was at Philadelphia, inexplicably they got rid of McCoy. I don't understand why, but those are the types of backs that do well in this system. Phone booth kind of guys. Guys that are like smoke through a keyhole. They can find yardage where it doesn't appear to be. You've got to really be disciplined when you tackle them.
Third down, Drez Anderson gets this grab. Terrence Mitchell there for the tackle at around the 32-yard line, gain of about a dozen. So fourth down and 2, and Bradley Pinion is out to punt.
One of the first opportunities we get a chance to see exactly, the capability in the return game. A lot of water for the Texans here to navigate with, and we'll see the speedy Wendell Williams. See if he can make something happen. Great opportunity for him.
Ran an unofficial 4.19 at the combine. Solid hang time here. Williams
back to the field.
Loses the ball at the 30. The Texans pop down. So twice now on specials we've seen some difficulty securing the football. And the pressure there from Robert Nelson as Wendell Williams could not bring it in cleanly. A 6-point difference. A teaching moment as Wendell Williams has a chat.
To Larry Izzo, the special teams coach, they're coaching him up.
Weigh in on who will be tonight's rising star using hashtag Texans Game Day. Stay tuned to the fourth quarter to see how you can win 2 VIP tickets to a Texans home game. Wendell Williams, a big part of this preseason push for the Texans on specials, also at wide receiver. He often saw offensive looks similar to this. His University of the Cumberland's alma mater ran the triple option. Tyler Erfin ran the ball in many ways for San Jose State. On returns as a receiver, as a running back. Here it's Michael Wilhoit who takes him down. A lot of speed infused into this Texans team, and it's measurable. There's an objective way of looking at the speed. Some impressive 40 times for the new names.
Yeah, speed is important. On that last play, however, it's really about getting downhill and running to a point to put stress on that defense that had the Texans on its heels a little bit. He's got to be a little bit more decisive.
On 2nd and 10 off the play fake.
Nice movement in the pocket.
Savage
nice
threads the needle against the right sideline. That is a grab. Braxton Miller with a very tight window.
Excellent route by the former two-time MVP in the Big Ten, Braxton Miller, the quarterback. You don't think he knows a thing or two about coverages and how to get and fight for a ball as he does on that one. Number one, Savage gave him a chance by stepping up in the pocket and eluding pressure, and Braxton paid it off on the back end. That's how you become a friend really quickly, by making those tough catches.
24 yards for the first down in Niners territory. Another play fake. Savage again with the field a step up, slips it out to Urban. He had a lot of leak out grabs like that in his collegiate days to the 39 as Michael Wilhoit dispatches of him after a gain of 5.
Great protection and pickup there that gave Savage an opportunity to step up and dump it off. Nice, wise decision not to subject himself to any potential hit.
Also getting a look at Soma Vanuku at fullback instead of Jay Prosh.
Vanuku was the guy that made the pickup on the outside that blocked it, allowed Savage to step up. Excellent job.
Savage one-on-one. Incomplete. Looking for Mumphrey. Keith Reeser was there.
A little love tap going on there. Mumphrey, this is a payoff year for him. He's got to step up with the depth there. You can see him. He's got press coverage. He does release, but again, he doesn't create separation. It's a back shoulder throw, so if he can fight through that, he can make that kind of play. We've seen DeAndre Hopkins many times make that play, and if you're wondering what's the difference between an elite player and a guy that's trying to make it, it's making that catch. That's the only difference. It's a want-to skill set, and that little something extra.
Jalen Strong seems to have man at the top side. It's Jonathan Grimes. Runs right through a Niner would-be tackler, and he has a first down to around the 32. Chris Davis could not contain Grimes.
How many times have we seen Jonathan Grimes do this? The patience, the poise to wait on his blockers to get in there, and that little wait, that little hesitation allows Ode Abouche to get out in front of him and make a play, and he follows his lineman. Excellent job of running and being patient.
Tyler Ervin is back at the running back position. This is the first drive where we feel a cadence emerging. Savage zipping into space. Game slowing down some. Braxton Miller, another catch.
And it's just perfect balance is what we're seeing. He's painting the field from left to right. A nice mix of run and pass. Braxton Miller figuring in a couple of those receptions. Then zone coverage, splitting the distance between those two defenders. Bill O'Brien is liking what he's seeing right now. Methodical pace down the field by his backup quarterback, number 2, Vine, to keep that spot.
Second down and 5. Urban. Niners have shown that at times today. Nick Bellore has made plays on specials and defensively, collapsing the edge quickly.
Nick Bellore came hell-bent for election on that one. He had his ears pinned back, man, and he shot through. On a free release, he can come through there and make a play. You know, a lot of times this defense is a defense that struggled last year, gave up a ton of yards, but they freed him, Bellore, up in this new scheme so that he can get to the ball and make plays. They've done an excellent job of identifying who the players are that have the skill to make plays in space.
Third and a long 7. Jalen Strong has had that left side during most of the drive, but Keith Reeser has blanketed him.
You're going to see the Texans do more of this. You didn't see them throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage. This is designed to get guys like Strong, Braxton Miller, Fuller, not so much because he's a speed guy, but they're trying to get the ball in their hands so that they can make a play and then run after that. Cecil Shorts is an older guy, but he does it exceptionally well. Once he gets the ball seated in his hands, he can make great plays. And so the Texans, that will be a point of emphasis for them. More plays, pass plays, behind the line of scrimmage.
Naimi Fairbairn, the UCLA product from 45 is good.
Nice.
Last year's Lou Groza Award winner. who hit a UCLA record 60-yarder against the Cal Bears, converts from 45 in his first taste of the NFL preseason. The offense has its first points of the day. A nice drive from Savage and company, and the varied attack makes it a field goal game. College football season Saturday, September 3rd, with the Peach Bowl champion Houston Cougars and the Big 12 champion Oklahoma Sooners. Limited seats remain for the Advocare Texas kickoff. Call 832-667-2390 or visit AdvocareTexasKickoff.com to secure your tickets today. Don't miss out on this top 25 matchup Labor Day weekend at NRG Stadium. I'm sure Spencer Tillman will be watching.
Well, that's going to be a fantastic game.
Bryce Treggs from out of his end zone. Hurdles a Texan. Plows through a second and third man in. Finally takes him out in Vanuku. So the 49ers with the ball back. Right after the Texan field goal make will step aside. San Francisco back to the offense. Another look at the Texans' D. 13-10, the Texans trail. 7:14 remaining in the third here at Levi Stadium. First offensive points for the Texans. A field goal make after Tom Savage helped steer the ship down the field. 6 for 10, 50 yards. Brought a calmness and a greater precision.
A little nasty blitz here.
Lewis steps up, flings it a little short, intended for Treggs. Eddie Pleasant was in the neighborhood.
One of the rare times that the Texans actually brought pressure that time, but just goes to show you, oftentimes if the pressure is right and it comes from the correct place, you don't have to get a hit on the quarterback. It's still as disruptive because he feels pressure to get rid of the ball. The timing can be compromised.
And there, you don't need to send extra bodies, just send one. Gerald Rivers immediately leaps upon DeJuan Harris. That'll be a loss of about a yard. A third down.
Gerald did an excellent job of working from his outside linebacker position, more of like a 7 technique. He's wide enough where he can get that tackle in space, and he's back there again. Nice job.
Lewis maintained his feet. He has made plays. Carlos Thompson ultimately was more standing in front of him as he lost his footing.
Well, let's isolate on Rivers, number 48. I mean, he's flowing. The Rivers flowing now, man. He's working on the tackle on the outside there for the 49ers and giving Colin Kelly all he wants on that play. Nice rush, back-to-back plays. When guys feel like they've got you in the gun sights, they'll get kind of salivating, get lathered up. They love it.
So his pressure forces punt. Texans with a late entrant. Wendell Williams again, the return man. They nearly get a hand on this one. Williams lets it fall.
Wow.
Now the Texans will have outstanding field position as Williams did not need to corral that one. All throughout tonight's game, we're checking Twitter, Instagram to see what Texans fans are posting. We have a moment to show you some more tailgating photos you sent to us from hashtag Texans Game Day. So many smiles.
There you go. That's beautiful.
You can show off your Houston Texans pride, a chance to appear on the broadcast. Keep sending your fan photos to hashtag Texans Game Day. Only a 25-yard punt. It did not seem like the Texans got the fingertip on Bradley Pinion's effort. So Houston will try to take plumb advantage with Kenny Hilliard in at the running back position. Starting in San Francisco territory, Savage, who's had that feel all day, and he flicks it to Hilliard. First down as he gets bopped it around the 29-yard line. A 17-yard screen.
And great job by the quarterback. They gave him one of those odd fronts. You can see it, that Navajo look again. Savage does an excellent job of enduring the pressure, dumping it off to Kenny Hilliard, and Hilliard does the rest and gets upfield. Nice solid gain there.
First down and 10.
Going 4 wides here. Nice passing situation here for Savage. Got to pick up the blitz.
Hit as he threw it, and Jalen Strong comes back to the football, gets shoved out of bounds by Keith Reeser.
That's what he does exceptionally well. Savage looked like he got dinged on that play a little bit, but Strong paid it off for him. You can see, we've seen him do this so much. He's got the great reach, the extension to go get that ball at his highest point, but Savage took the shot there, fell on his shoulder. But Strong, boy, I tell you, when you make plays like that, you get up quicker as a quarterback and shake it off faster.
This trip to the red zone brought to you by Houston Community College. After the gain of 20, Hilliard. And the swarm funnels him to around about the 7.5-yard line, gain of a little more than a yard.
Sets up nicely. I mean, sometimes coaches, they don't like you to talk about it, but Bill O'Brien's one of the best at it. But they set up, there are tendencies that coaches try to do to set up individual efforts backside with a stretch play here. Great opportunity for either a slot or a wide receiver to make a play off of a switch route. The 3 receivers up to the top. Great opportunity here. They'll probably come back down to the 10 numbers though.
This empty look has Akeem Hunt running back on the trips far left. Savage corner for Strong, a little tall. That's been a fun battle between Jalen Strong and Keith Reeser.
And why not? After the previous catch that Strong made, I mean, if you feel like you've got a guy that you can work on, you've got man coverage, you've been effectively stretching him out, go for it.
Now, one name we haven't seen in the past game much, he's been out there. Steven Anderson is into the contest. Grew up a Niners fan, only 15 miles away.
You're talking about a matchup problem as a tight end. I mean, there's not a linebacker that I know can cover him.
3rd and goal.
There he is. Get rid of it.
To the end zone. Touchdown. Steven Anderson brings it in, and the Texans get their first offensive touchdown of the day.
Like stealing, partner. When you get close down inside, this is just like having a wide receiver and a defensive lineman trying to cover him. You can see the release. Look at the shake. I mean, he's almost like a wide receiver, and you've got a linebacker trying to front him up. That's easy, man. That's too easy.
He was a wide receiver when he walked on at Cal, where so many in his family had attended, but he did not receive an offer. Worked his way into a scholarship, and now on Bill O'Brien's Houston Texans.
Talked to him yesterday. He's such an affable guy. Had a nice quiet moment with him, and he looked me dead in the eye, and he said, "Thank you so much for giving me that word." You know, and typically guys, they'll listen to you, particularly young players, but he was giving me something back that gave me some sense that he's about something in life, and it's good to see that in young players.
Good to see the kick true for Nick Novak. The family having a good time. His mom, Charlene, known through the years for yodeling and bird calling back to the Pop Warner days. Reason to celebrate.
That's got to be one of the rarest sights you'll ever see. I want to see your yodel, man.
He said that he grew up a Niners fan, but he is Texans all the way now. A tight end who has a 38-inch vertical and a 4.5 and change 40.
Well, he's a difference maker, and he's a matchup nightmare for defense, and alternately a pleasure for an offensive mind like George Godsey and Bill O'Brien. They'll have some fun with that guy. And again, can you imagine a lineup where you've got DeAndre Hopkins, Anderson, maybe Fuller to work the perimeter and clear out to force a man to take the top off the coverage? I mean, it's really like, if you get any kind of protection whatsoever, you can really control the tempo and paces of games.
It's something we've seen through training camp and then saw in the practice with the Niners, that so often he would find a way to get free in situations just like that. A 3rd and goal. Breaks out, finds the space, finds 6. So the Texans with the lead back. Chris Davis is the deep return man for the 49ers, who knows a thing or two about running a ball out of the end zone for a score. He had that 100-yard return in the Iron Bowl for Auburn against Alabama. He misses it here to the back of the end zone. Let's take a look at what Tom Savage was able to accomplish. Second straight drive where you felt some pace.
It's about diagnosing the plays. Again, avoiding the pressure here, dumps it off to Hilliard, and he does a fine job here of taking the pressure and still releasing that ball. Strong pays it off for him on the other end. Here, just a four-man rush. A gains and a deal's working underneath, but Mr. Anderson pays it off, and Savage, he's loving it, man. He says, let's do that again.
Tom Savage with some feel. Remember, he wound up on the IR last season due to an injury in preseason. The finale against the Cowboys late in the game suffered the shoulder issue. As Jeff Driscoll is checked in at quarterback for the 49ers, and flags are out. Referee John Parrott.
Offense number 75, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Let's go downstairs where Drew Doherty has the quarterback, Brock Osweiler.
That's right, the big fella to my left. Brock, what were your first impressions of how your first time as a Texan went?
Well, I think there were some pros and there were some cons. Obviously, you want to come out in the first game and you want to be perfect as a team, as an offensive unit, and we weren't today, but that's okay. It gives us something to go back to Houston with. There's plenty of plays that we can all learn from, and I think it'll really motivate us to come out and be better in the second preseason game.
When we talked to O'Brien at the half, he said, it's a preseason. You got to run a vanilla-type offense. Does that get you a little bit more antsy, wanting to run the whole package?
Absolutely. That's I think what makes this offense so special. Having Coach O'Brien and Coach Gotze game plan and have so many resources and plays at their disposal to put us in great position to make plays, and obviously we didn't use that today. And we understand that, but still, that's no excuse. As an offense, no matter what play is called, no matter how vanilla it is, we still need to go out there, execute, and find a way to make plays.
In game action, did you notice anything differently from some of these receivers than what you've seen in practice and OTAs and training camp?
Not really. What we did today what was the same things I've been seeing in practice for the most part. Now, given, like I said, there was a couple plays I'd like to have back. I'm sure some other guys would say the same thing. There was plenty of learning experiences out there today, but we'll get back, we'll watch the film, we'll break it down extremely hard, and this game will make us better in the future.
When you're not talking to me and you're not playing, how much learning is going on for you on the sidelines?
It's nonstop. Just right now, every single play when Tom's out there, I'm putting myself through it just like I was in his shoes, trying to read the defense, saying where I would go with the football and constantly playing that mental game. There's always some place that you can get better.
Last thing, kind of nice seeing the rookie Steven Anderson catch a touchdown, right?
Absolutely. Steven's been a guy who from day one has come in and worked extremely hard. He studies his butt off, and for him to be back in the Bay, I heard his family just chant his name and whatnot. It's a very special moment for him, and he deserves it.
Thank you, Brock. That family of Steven Anderson right behind us here at the 20. John, Spencer, take it away.
Well, thank you, Drew. And Wendell Williams lets the ball roll to the 24. There's Laundry back on the other side of the 50 at around the 30-yard line.
While we sort this out, what you just saw there with Brock, and Drew did an excellent job with the interview.
During the kick, holding, receiving team number 37. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. First and 10, Houston.
Goes on Banuku.
Yeah, it's the communication that Brock Osweiler has. That influence, that's what leadership is. It's influence, nothing more, nothing less. And that same confidence that you saw there in that interview is what he exudes when he's talking to his players. From the earliest time when he became a Texan officially, inviting the guys out to Arizona to work with him, spending time with them on vacation, all those sorts of things, not part of organized activities, speaks to his commitment, yes, but how he communicates to those players really sets him apart as a leader.
And leading is something he doesn't take for granted. Leading is something that he prepares for, that he gets coached on. He knows what the mantle of quarterback means.
Absolutely. He knows that leadership is the attribute in greatest demand, yet shortest supply. So much so that he has a leadership coach he deals with in the offseason.
And the 14 as a result of the penalty. Savage from under center. Puts it in the belly of Hakeem Hunt. And a wave of 49ers disrupt at around the 17, gain of about 3.
That's a nice job of running by Keem Hunt. Again, not much to work with on the short side of the field. Everything is compressed, but again, when you're nursing an opportunity where you're in front, you can afford to do that. Take time off the clock, but possess the ball and run it downhill.
Well, numbers that you brought up in our conversation the other day that I thought really resonated, the significant extremes the Texans had in each of the last couple of years, passing versus running, based on personnel.
Yeah, and it was what they did. I mean, obviously the context determines your strategy. That's what you have to do. Great job of dealing with the pressure. Mumphrey comes up with a nice catch. Again, Savage feeling that pressure. But again, I think what that speaks to, partner, is the idea that George Godsey and Bill O'Brien were able to work with the weapons they have. Here's an example of a quarterback that feels the pressure off the backside, a kid that's working for a spot. Mumphrey coming up with a nice catch there in traffic. You go with the skills that you have. And being able, if it's running the football or passing the football or moving, I mean, when they brought Daniels on board, that was really a response to the opportunity to exploit some things that they hadn't been able to in the past.
Maluku tried to pave a path. Akeem Hunt, though, spinning off first contact. Could not deny Demetrius Cherry.
You know, so many coaches don't have the capacity to do anything different. In other words, if you have a skill set that they're not familiar with, they're going to put a round peg in the square hole. I mean, that's what they do. But some coaches that are really good at what they do are able to find the skill set, devise a scheme, and create a package that will allow you to have success on the field.
And we saw that evolving last year when George Godsey took over the play calling duties. We see that here with even more weapons. Tipped ball. Falls down incomplete. That was dangerously close. Ball batted in the air. Corey Lemonnier, the fourth-year man out of Auburn.
Well, Savage did a good job. You don't want him to put himself in harm's way, but he had his presence of mind to know that that ball was putted up high, and he wanted to get it down on the ground so that he wouldn't have a turnover backed up in his own end zone.
QB becoming the DB.
So an obvious passing situation. Expect the 49ers to dial up pressure here. Let's see how Savage handles the pressure. More importantly, let's see how this offensive line that's shorthanded right now handles the protection.
Down multiple likely starters come the start of the regular season. Timeout first.
Timeout Houston, the team's first.
So Bill O'Brien and company, a chance to talk it over. 25 seconds remaining on the quarter. The date for the 2016 Bulls and Birdies Cheerleaders Golf Tournament, supported by Bud Light, is set. Just announced today. This year's tournament will be Wednesday, November 2nd, Kingwood Country Club. Golfing, Texans cheerleaders, a few of your best friends. Sounds like a good day to me. Log on to HoustonTexans.com right now to learn how you can sign up.
Good golf out at Kingwood now. That's a great place to play some golf.
How's your game these days?
Oh, I'm a hacker, man. I mean, I get out there and I'll hit it. I'm just like anybody else. Some days I can hit it straight. Other days I can't hit it. Literally.
It feels like this is a par 5 on 3rd and 11. Tom Savage with his driver ready. Line holds well. Savage with plenty of time. A little long for Akeem Hunt with Lemonnier in coverage.
You know, when you have that kind of time, I bet Savage wish he had another opportunity to throw that ball because he had plenty of protection. That's when you really want to set your feet and deliver an opportunity for a receiver to catch it. Again, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not really a blitz. They're really dropping back in soft coverage. They've got 3 men ultimately trying to get to the quarterback. You don't need to rush that.
All learning moments. Leckler just gets this one off. Treggs falls down.
Turf monster got him, didn't he?
That's happened to a few today, it seems. Robert Nelson was there in coverage.
Yeah, Nelson, the benefactor of the little turf monster. 12th man on the field for the Texans. Got him. Yeah. You can see. I mean, he seats the ball and just plants on his outside foot. I'm telling you, when they're in the room looking at this play right here, particularly from the low angle, they're going to laugh Triggs out of the room. I mean, that's inexplicable. I don't know how you do that.
You wonder what's going through the mind of Steven Anderson, his former Cal Bear teammate, both rookies now in the NFL. They were the top 2 pass-catching options.
He looked like he was river dancing or something. Michael Flatley out there, man, he was clogging or something.
After the 47-yard punt, Devon Harris, who nearly had the block of that punt, pushes his way to around the 30-yard line.
This is the end.
So we are through 3. We have our dancing shoes ready. And as we head to the 4th, the Texans with a 17-13 advantage here in Santa Clara. Texans Television Network continues from Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara after these messages.
This broadcast is brought to you by Reliant. Keeps you powered at home, at work, and on the go. By Mattress Firm, the official mattress retailer of the Houston Texans. And by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram.
Tonight's broadcast brought to you by Xfinity. I could sure go for a pair of those glasses, by the way, we saw on the way back. Kelvin Taylor off the play fake. Driscoll keeps. The Texans bit, and Driscoll scampers for a first down. Quarterback runs have been an issue at times today.
Yeah, they really have had issues with quarterbacks, but really it's the formation that can be a tip-off to give them some sense of when it's coming. Again, when they go trips down to this side of the field and create a wide field, that's to create voids in your defense so that they can get you in space and on islands. You see the Texans in those wide splits there, even though it's a bunch too tight right now. The previous play was just the opposite of that. That's when you have to look out for the quarterback keepers.
Kelvin Taylor keeps here. So you're saying that it's numbers. I was told there'd be no math.
Well, I'm not counting them. You know I'm not saying the numbers, but I can see the formation when I see it. No, but it's true, man. When everybody's bunched in there like that, I mean, it's like the old option days when I was in college, the wishbone. We used to run that. When you're bunched in that space, the quarterback is typically not going to keep the ball in those situations. It's when you're spread out, and it's another glorified form of the option.
On 2nd and 6, Taylor overwhelmed. A tsunami of Texans at around the line of scrimmage. We'll call it no gain. Carlos Thompson championed the cause. Ofamba Kamalu was in there as well.
And you'll notice most of the times, most coordinators don't want to put their quarterback in harm's way. So most of the time they're going to give the ball off. But occasionally, and you can tell who is in the game, they will pull it out if you commit your defensive end and crash.
Toward Taylor, a little too tall. And some bumping thereafter. Football play by Shaquille Rashad as Gerald Rivers gave the pressure. He has shown that a few times in the backfield today.
Absolutely. And again, I think the Texans are doing a good job right now of settling down a little bit and not allowing formations to scare them a little bit like it did earlier in the contest, and matching up well. The Gunners are doing a good job here and giving their return men an opportunity, even though they muffed one earlier and mishandled another.
Pinion.
Wow.
We've had a lot of near misses on specials. Wendell Williams, the fair catch. I haven't had a chance to see his speed on full display just yet, but still more to come as the Texans enjoy a 17-13 advantage. 17-13 Texans in the 4th. The scoreboard of this quarter brought to you by Papa John's. But just a couple of days ago, these teams locked horns, not in an official preseason game, but a joint practice. Texans finally had a chance to hit a different colored uniform, and they saw success on all sides of the ball.
They really did. I mean, they caught some deep balls. Brock did an excellent job of finding backs. Miller and others underneath coverage, and isolation drills went extremely well, and he hit a couple of long passes as well. Fuller on one of them, and then Jalen Strong on another long pass.
Inside run by Akeem Hunt. Ankle tackled by Wynton McManus. I think in that practice environment, when we were out there in the bright, sunny California day, we witnessed more shades of what will come as the preseason evolves, the regular season arrives. lots of double teams on DeAndre Hopkins that freed up so many of the new options.
Yeah, and again, he's going to get used to that. I remember when they drafted Will Fuller, he tweeted out, ain't going to be no more double teams. I know that's incorrect in English, but he was speaking from the heart. And so what he was able to take advantage of yesterday was some of those scenarios.
Josh Lentz taking advantage of some space as he zips it up the sideline. Marcus Cromartie helped him rather violently out of bounds. He gets to the 40.
Josh has been one of those receivers that's been part of that deep crew that's done some really cool things and ball handling drills, and you watch him, you can't help but cheer for a guy like that because he's so competitive, sure-handed, protects the football, although he probably needed to seat that in the other hand on that particular play. But I really like this kid, man, because he's just so committed to the technical aspects of the game.
Iowa State star, he's bounced around. Bears, Seahawks, Colts, Browns, and Texans. After the 23-yard gain, Savage feeling some pressure. Dangerous ball looking for Mumphrey. Kenneth Acker right alongside, call it incomplete.
Acker was all over him, but Mumphrey's contesting it, saying that he was interfered with. Protection was good again. That ball was nearly picked off there.
Second down. Savage getting a lot of reps after missing all of last year on the IR as the Texans employed 4 different starting quarterbacks.
I think this is a bit of a reward for the way that he's navigated this ball club down on those drives that he's been in. Another one of those plays behind the line. Now, I like this kid.
Lentz making men miss.
See, this is another one of those plays behind the line of scrimmage where you want to get the ball in space, off the ball, a little bubble screen, allow him to get a good matchup against a bigger, heavier linebacker. That's a tremendous play right there. This kid can help a team out.
He was matched up with Marcus Rush, who's 6'3", 251. Speed wins, especially in space.
Yes, sir, all the time. It's more important than size and strength.
From midfield, Vanuco in at the fullback slot, play fake. Savage to Lentz. Oh, they're feeling a connection here. Double team. Sanderson down right around the 30-yard line, gain of about 20.
Love this kid, man, because the play action made it work. Anytime you turn your back to coverage, this is excellent play design, play action away. Savage does a nice job of finding him on the shallow crossing route opposite. And they talk about not throwing the ball across your body. That's part of the design of this play. You soften up and loosen in the coverage when the quarterback is going the opposite direction. And that little hesitation is what allowed Lentz to get open going the opposite direction. That's a well-designed play, throw and catch and completion by Savage and Lentz.
Rush showing that he will rush off the play fake. Pressure just too much. Knocked down and sacked at around the 39, a loss of about 9. Shane Scove with the piercing pressure.
And that's a learning moment as well, because the previous play was play action as well. You've got to feel this coverage right now coming. That's a pre-snap read. He can be aware of that. No good defense worth his salt is going to allow you to play action them back-to-back plays and burn them on that. You've got to be aware that the pressure is going to eventually try to affect the quarterback, and as it did on that particular play.
Bowled over Hakeem Hunt, second down and call it 18, spotted at the 38.
Let's see who can get open against this 3-man front. 1 extra rusher is coming, and actually it's 5 now.
Flag is out. It was Mumphrey again with Kenneth Acker. Shades of the play earlier in the drive, but even more eye-opening contact this time around.
Yeah, and Mumphrey.
Pass interference, defense number 20, automatic first down.
Mumphrey was pushed, and Acker did push him, but that was a little bit of a kind of an academy award act there. I mean, again, he got pushed. There's no question about that, but I'm not so sure if it warranted the extra move out of bounds that Mumphrey showed. Again, you can see it from all 22. And again, I don't know. That was contact clearly, but I don't know if it was that egregious.
They get 14 yards and a first down.
Nice meet.
Hakeem Hunt, flag is out. Multiple flags. He is down at around the 18. Looks like a face mask call.
Nice job of operating in tight spaces. Akeem Hunt, nice little move upfield. That was Alex Balducci trying to make a stop there in space, and he just made a miss.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, half the distance to the goal. First down.
So Texans with the lead and building up even more
Number
momentum.
44
Marcus Rush
was the number
was on the
for the
practice squad all last year for the 49ers. Gives a few more just inside of the 10. First down and goal. The trip to the red zone brought to you by Houston Community College. Steven Anderson got the score the last time they were in this territory. Off the play fake.
Tough right here.
Throws it away. Lemonier was there, and Savage showing poise and prowess.
Like Dave Keeney, our producer, said, that was a smart decision right there. He threw that one away, and that's exactly what you want to do. You know, most of these games are going to be lost, not won. There's usually a mistake that a quarterback is going to make that determines the outcome. When you see a quarterback able to make quality decisions like that, it gives you the confidence to give him another shot at it. Tight, close formation. Let's see if they get a rub off of this.
Double tight with Tomlinson in along with Anderson. Looking quickly right side. Not there for Tevin Jones as he bent out.
Ball was just beyond the outstretched arms, and Bill O'Brien knows it was there. Again, just a nice little outcut against soft off coverage. Jones, had it been just a little bit tighter to him, could have made that play. He had hit his head on that little pylon back there. It would have been a touchdown.
They've been attacking some against Prince Charles Awara, the rookie corner, who's again matched up with Tevin Jones.
Love this trips look here. You can get all kind of rubs. Let's see if one can get loose underneath.
Akeem Hunt slips through into the end zone. Touchdown. Akeem Hunt, who joined the squad from the practice squad in November of last year, had some practice squad time with the Ravens. Also has the TD.
Former New York Giant. Does a great job of turning upfield and keeping his balance and showing you the poise and athleticism to tightrope it and get in. That ball thrown as a dart right on his numbers. Gives your back a chance to score. Savage had some impressive drives and, again, rewarded for his effort.
Eluded Kenneth Acker, who was also picked on some during the course of that drive, whether it was Mumphrey or there to the running back in Akeem Hunt. Tom Savage getting congratulations from Brock Osweiler, and you heard it when Brock Osweiler chatted with Drew Doherty, the communal effort that these quarterbacks are undertaking.
And the fun thing about watching that drive is, as you pointed out, Acker was being taken advantage of or engaged in a couple of opportunities. It doesn't mean that the receiver can be the only one that can exploit him. When you get an athletic guy out there, if it's a running back, he can get a matchup that Bill O'Brien will exploit as well. So
they are taking another look at the play. It appeared that Hunt might have hit the white on the sideline. We'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll break it down. As it stands, a 23-13 margin.
After reviewing the play stands. Touchdown.
There you have it from referee John Parry. The score stands for Akeem Hunt, and the point after can commence. Let's take a look.
This is one of those physics kind of moves that every good back should have, where your ball of your foot is down and your body or your weight is going forward, but you want to go the opposite direction. That's just a good football play and balance by Akeem Hunt, walking that tightrope. Nice body ball control.
Kaimi Fairbairn, who's hit a 45-yard field goal, connects on the extra point. Tight to the line. Akeem Hunt displaying beautiful balance, and it's now 24-13. Second half has belonged to the Texans. 24-13 their lead. John Sadak, Spencer Tillman, Drew Doherty, and our Texans Television Network crew. Thank you for making Texans football Part of your evening, Tom Savage, a big part of this lead.
Sign a little autograph there on that little wristband. Was that what he was doing?
He's got to get him ready. The deluge will be on soon.
Well, I'd want his autograph after the way he navigated his team down the field on a couple of scoring drives and made some quality decisions and coachable moments in there as well.
The up man, Calvin Taylor, forwarded it around the 21. Let's take a look at what Tom Savage was able to compose on the last possession.
Again, just opportunities to get Lentz in the open field. These are high percentage plays where all he has to do is turn, and then the play action was working well for him. He navigates and steps up in the pocket, finds Lentz again on the shallow crossing route. He pays it off. His eyes are locked here, but the scheme allows him to pay it off, and then Hunt shows you he's got the ability to walk that tightrope and pays it off again. So whether it was Anderson earlier, was Lentz in that drive, Hunt, all of those combination of ways to get the ball to different players at different positions, from the slot, the tight end, and the running back, Tom Savage was your guy, the general navigator.
The Olympic precision in quest for the score as Kendall Gaskins gets his first touch. Second-year pro out of Richmond, forwarded by Shaquille Rashad. No gain.
No gain on the play. 2nd and 10 at the 49ers 21.
It's amazing the difference that a drive or two can make in terms of the overall tenor, the feel of what this game has meant.
It's all about confidence. And again, we can talk about how much people are keeping, under their belt, and so to speak, but it's about confidence. And that's where you get stronger at what you're doing, when you get command.
Driscoll looks to the flat. 3 Texans are there. And that's an example of a play that it felt in the early stage of the game would have resulted in a leak out, would have resulted in a pinball move.
So you see the success they had on offense spilling over on the defense. They get sure-handed now, and there's a kind of a positive peer pressure that's at work here. If the offense starts to quit itself, the defense feels like it's obligated to do it. So there's an internal kind of culture that competes against itself, which is good too. They're still blitzing. They're bringing pressure on the Texans.
But this has been the consistent concern. Driscoll gets the first down and more as he rips it off to around the 45, 46-yard line.
Well, the pressure came from high, and again, Driscoll runs away from that pressure. Great job of him diagnosing where the pressure was coming from and then eventually giving himself up at the end of that run. But the Texans got burned.
21 yards. Gaskins met by Shaquille Rashad and a few friends to around the 49, gain of about 4. First and 10 line this quarter brought to you by First Community Credit Union. What did we do before the first and 10 line? One of the greatest inventions in sports television. Play fake. Small sliver of separation, but the ball not quite on target for Busta Anderson.
Texans brought a little nasty, little wicked delayed blitz there on that particular play, and Robert Nelson was the one that provided it. Probably affected the delivery on that pass, and pressure coming from depth. And the 32 does a nice job of using his speed to get to the quarterback to perhaps affect that flight of the path of that ball.
You saw Ryan Langford, the linebacker, getting words of advice from safety Corey Moore in pass coverage.
Another game and deal that
works. Driscoll unafraid, dropping the shoulder, plowing forward, leading with the helmet against Terrence Mitchell.
Yeah, and Razon Howard rushing from the outside is the one that forced him up. You can see going behind him. He steps up in there, and he really looks comfortable too, running the ball and pulling it down. And
go for it on 4th down, and the fake. Little option quarterback run. Eddie Pleasant was there to help him out of play, but Driscoll is helping himself to large chunks.
7 plays exactly ago, I talked about the defensive end. When you crash down, at some point in time, they're going to catch you. Watch outside. As you crash down on that, and you get adept at thinking that the ball is going to be in the pocket of that fullback, he's going to pull it out. He's reading that defensive end or outside linebacker, as the case may be.
Play fake.
Good job.
And the pocket collapses. A flag is out. Looks like a hold. Joel Heath was there. Referee John Parry.
Holding. Offense number 56. 10-yard penalty. Replay. First down.
That was on Alex Balducci, who was a defensive lineman at Oregon. They're converting him into an offensive line center role.
Well, on these plays that we're looking, and again, there's the hold that negates this one, but on these plays where the 49ers have been able to break out as a result of the quarterback reading the defensive end, if you're an end and you have one guy outside of you and he's playing in coverage, you always maintain contain. There is no scenario where you're going to dive down and attack a fullback and leave the outside wide open. You've got two guys, the fullback and the quarterback, who are a threat to the edge. If there's nobody outside of you, you slow play that. So the Texans have got to play with integrity on defense, and whoever's playing those 7-9 techniques outside on the zone reads, they've got to read it. The quarterback's reading them, and they've got to know that.
Down to distance read, 2nd and 20. But a couple of errant throws in succession by Driscoll. His last one for Bryce Treggs.
That was low and away a ball.
By the way, for those of you watching this game, you may know Spencer Tillman, the former Houston running back. You know him from these telecasts. Do you know that he does the most amazing impression of almost anyone in the world?
See, that's the secret. That's between you and I. Nobody's supposed to know that.
I can't wait to hear your John Sadak. Flag is out on 3rd and 20. Looks like another hold, incomplete. Norman Price, the rookie out of Southern
Holding.
Miss.
Offense number 63. Penalties decline. 4th down.
He gets called for the hold.
Yeah, that's a 2-11 in progress right there, man. They got him, and try to protect your quarterback. You know, sometimes you're behind. The worst thing you can do is allow your quarterback to get hurt and lose the game. I think that's a wise decision on his part, believe it or not.
4th down and forever. Driscoll takes it underneath to Gaskins. Gaskins contained by 3 Texans, led at first by Antonio Allen.
Yeah, and Eddie Pleasant and some of those guys playing that safety position. You know, you start throwing a shoulder in there as we get close to the game. You got to finish these games out.
Texans finishing out the final 5+ minutes, leading 24-13. Brandon Whedon gets his first chance of the day. Not too long after Spencer Tillman made a baseball joke. Here comes the man that was drafted into the baseball ranks. Came into football the same year as Brock Osweiler, but he's 7 years his senior, thanks to his tour of duty in baseball.
Well, I think the Texans were in the playoffs in no small part because of the 2 games that he navigated down the stretch. Handled himself extremely well doing that run.
Got the first ever win in Indianapolis, and then the victory over the Titans. It's the inside run by Kenny Hilliard. Gets a couple. Let's go downstairs where our own Drew Doherty has Kareem Jackson.
All right, Kareem, first bit of game action today. Earlier, you break up a pass, you make a nice open field tackle. How close are you to being game ready for week 1?
Getting closer and closer every day. You know, anytime we can get out here and compete as a team. You know, first preseason game is all about getting, back in the swing of things, into the game tempo. So go against a team like San Fran with that high pace offense, it's definitely great, great feeling.
How tricky is it to actually judge where you guys are as a whole? A, because it's the first preseason game, and B, because some bodies that are not out there normally.
I don't think it's tricky. You know, like I say, first preseason game, man. You know, it's some things are going to be good, some things are definitely not going to be the way you want them to be. But you know, it's just all about training camp and just getting ready and working towards that first regular season game. So we'll look at the film, correct some things, and continue to build as a team.
Which young defensive back should we keep our eyes on?
We got a great group of guys, young guys as well. They're coming along well. I think you should keep your eye on all of them. All of them working hard each and every day. They're getting better every day. They're listening to some of the older veteran guys, and just trying to help them improve their game every day, just as the same as we're trying to improve ours every day.
It's an election year. That was a nice, politically correct answer. Thank you, Kareem.
No, thank you.
We appreciate it, Drew. And the number you saw on the screen, the 12 picks for Kareem Jackson, tie him for second in Houston history. But there are some names to look for. A.J. Boye has had an outstanding camp.
He really has, and A.J. has gotten better. There are a couple of guys that were dinged up, and he was one of the greatest benefactors of their time out doing OTAs. And so he had a front center stage to impress the coaches, and he did. And he's been a charismatic guy, made some mistakes early when he came in here. Everyone remembers the incident at Dallas Stadium and AT&T Stadium where he, at midfield, had some antics that was not indicative of what a Texan would do. But since that time, he's steadily improved both on and off the field in terms of character and play.
The Andrew White hit hard by Shaquille Rashad. Your Houston Texans take on the New Orleans Saints Saturday night, 7 p.m. NRG Stadium. Catch all the action right here on Texans TV, ABC 13. And if you're heading to the stadium, we want to remind you about the NFL's clear bag policy. Log on to HoustonTexans.com to learn more about the rules and how they will affect you. It'll be fun to light up the lights at NRG Stadium.
Yep, that will be fun. Drew Brees is still a dangerous quarterback, man. He's got new weapons, lost a good tight end a couple of years ago and struggled as a result of that, but looking forward to that matchup.
There'll be another opportunity of a joint practice as well as Kelvin Taylor gets the ball to the sideline at around the 19, gain of a couple for the son of Fred Taylor. As the preseason continues and we learn more about this Houston Texans team, let's see how they handle Jeff Driscoll in these last 3+ minutes.
Well, the element of recency comes into play. What you do last, we tend to remember most, and they need to finish strong. And again, they're showing some nice little pressure looks here with the safety coming down and the blitz. That's a nice job of putting pressure. Let's see if they can pay it off. Good job.
The ball to Treggs, disrupted. K.J. Dillon, who loves to hit. He fires up the special teams coordinator, Larry Izzo. He can also play a little bit of center field.
And K.J. Dillon had to come from a little bit of a distance because of the coverage and the design there. It's a tremendous job of Bryce Dreggs trying to cut his route short to take advantage of the distance he had to go to make that play. But again, nice job of closing to defend that ball.
3rd down and 8. They bring a couple extra. Driscoll floats it incomplete. The timely pressure dialed up by Romeo Crennel. Afamba Kamalu spent most of his first 14 years in Nigeria, was part of the lead pressure there, that staggered approach into the pocket.
See if Wendell Williams can get another shot at returning one here. And I think the takeaway from that last series, at least defensively, is the fact that the Texans did not take their foot off the pressure, trying to finish strong.
It's only a 14-second drive. Now from the 40, Williams decides to reverse course, zigzags through the first wave, and he finds Niner territory. So Wendell Williams, a chance to show off what he can do, zipping it back. Wynton McManus was there for the special teams tackle.
All right, everybody, now it's time to announce my Mattress Firm rising star, and it's one other than Tom Savage. Tom Savage did a nice job of distributing the ball around to 3 different receivers, slot, Lentz on the crossing route, got Hunt in the end zone. Tom was great. You see his temps and his numbers there. A couple of touchdowns produced it and meant the difference in this ball game. Tom Savage. Now go to abc13.com and enter for a chance to win 2 VIP tickets to a Texans regular season home game. Good luck, everybody.
Hakeem Hunt on the carry. taken down by Shane Scove. And certainly Savage stands out on a day where we've had a chance to learn a little bit more about what the Texans will look like in the 2016 regular season. I think we've learned that at quarterback there might be more depth than just the infusion of Brock Osweiler.
You're absolutely right. And I think what Bill O'Brien and George Godsey are doing is kind of, I'm going to use the word fomenting this kind of pressure, because Wheaton played well enough to arguably be the number 2 quarterback. This is my opinion, right? And so if you got a guy that's in front of you who was on IR for much of last year, that puts a chip on my shoulder. And so I'm coming in and competing. It may not be this week. Obviously, the context of the game is late. But next week when I get in, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to earn that position back. And that's what you want.
A friendly competition of teammates who are sharing and growing, but they're also competitors. I love the quote from Tom Savage. They can draft 12 quarterbacks. I'm going to be ready to go. And that's the mantra. You're rooting for your teammate, but you're bringing the best you can of self.
And that's what competition is all about. I mean, and again, I so enjoyed our conversation with Brock Osweiler yesterday, because that leadership was really something that resonated.
2-minute warning as they continue to dialogue. We'll do the same on the other side as the Texans enjoy the lead here in Santa Clara, 24-3. And while we have a moment, some more shots of the fans from hashtag Texans Game Day. Here you are. Having a good time all around. The gear on full display. Not much better than the red, white, and blue.
Yeah. Everybody swears their fans are the best, but I got to tell you, man, Texans fans are the greatest fans I've been around. I've been around a lot of football places, and it's got such great spirit, man.
Keep sending your photos. Hashtag Texans Game Day. 3rd down as Whedon steps up. A little long for Lentz, but a flag flies.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense number 38. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
He's a familiar face. Cleveland Wallace just claimed off waivers 10 days ago from the Texans to the Niners.
Yep. It's an incestuous business. You know, it happens. But I'm thinking of the quarterback play. Wheaton has got to really be careful. I mean, you want to make plays. You've seen the guy that you're competing with drive successfully numerous times, and you want to make a play. But you got to really be cognizant of the decisions that you're making so that you don't force things. And I think that last play was an example of that.
Hakeem Hunt wrapped up by B.J. McBride, the first-year man out of UConn. Traveling Texans still on full display as they remain cheering on a Texans team that, in shades of what happened last year, got off to a bit of a sluggish start today, but found itself in all phases.
Yeah.
Saw the field goal make by Fairbairn. Saw the defense pick it up dramatically.
Yeah. This is positive, though, partner, because anytime you go on the road, I don't care what the context is, it's a change and a shift in the way you typically do things. And if you start off slowly and able to regroup, it speaks to the character of your team.
Kenny Hilliard the run, Darren Lenk at the tackle. And for Bill O'Brien and his coaching staff, I'm sure their words will be similar to those of Brock Osweiler with Drew Doherty earlier tonight. Some good, some bad, and you grow overall.
Plenty to coach from today. Again, from the tackling standpoint or lack thereof on the defensive side earlier, the response to that later got better at it. Today was like a microcosm of a season in many regards.
3rd and 6. Some pressure comes. Hilliard stumbled, and the ball down as whistles come. Vanuku was there. Zacher gets peeled back. Tom Savage with a ball cap on. The eye black, and
going to go for a try here.
Then return to the spot of the punt.
Yes, that's a good.
So the time has ticked away. What did we learn today?
I think you learned that this team can evolve. Today was a microcosm of what a season typically was and has been the last couple of years. Slow start for the defense. Finished strong. Saw the athleticism. We saw Braxton Miller. pick, two-time MVP out of the Big Ten, shows you some things from the slot position. Savage took over from his position and moved this ball club down the football field, vindicating himself as a legitimate contender for that number 2 spot. He earned it.
So the Texans get it done. Don't forget, Texans return to NRG Stadium Saturday, August 20th. They play their second preseason game against the New Orleans Saints. That'll come your way, 7 o'clock Central Time. For Spencer Tillman, Drew Doherty, and our entire Texans TV network crew, this is John Sadak saying so long from Santa Clara. A final score of 24-13. This has been a presentation of the Texans Television Network.